Reilly Opelka gave tennis its first big shock of the year, beating a refreshed Novak Djokovic in straight sets. In the off-season, Reilly added to his coaching team, and it seems to be paying early dividends. We begin our third season with his new coach, United Cup champion, ATP career high 53, and 11-time challenger champion. Known for his movement and his backhand, he has battled Novak Djokovic on the biggest stages of the game, and on this episode, he tells us why he decided to retire now, if he believes tennis is a clean sport with all the recent doping scandals, and if the USTA is doing American tennis a disservice by cutting budgets for player development. Denis Kudla, welcome to the Changeover.
All right, so to give the viewers perspective, this guest canceled on us last second. Last time we were supposed to meet a couple of days ago, and then we canceled on him last second earlier today. So this is actually the third time we're sitting down through this podcast.
We're even. But I didn't cancel on you. You just picked a bad time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that easy with the 14 hours time difference, though. Whatever.
I mean, Caribbean time is tough to stay on time, so I get it.
Also, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we are thrilled to have a brand new coach on the Changeover Podcast, the coach of Reilly Opelka, Denis Kudla. Thank you for joining us, bro.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, definitely some big news there. As you said, I just recently retired. Officially announcing it right after this United Cup, but yeah, I started with Reilly Opelka on December 1st, made a big decision, was kind of flirting with it anyway. I was going to play till the next year US Open. And then I just knew December and the off season is usually a time where a lot of people are looking for coaches. And I knew I kind of wanted to go and go on tour because I just felt like I had so much information to give and to be able to help somebody. And, I got a call with Reilly. And, as I threw my name in the hat, it's not what I expected. We've had a relationship for 10 years. So there was no learning curve there. And again, I knew something with coaching is a lot of not just what you know, but how you deliver the information, because sometimes it's not rocket science. But yeah, with Reilly, what an opportunity, what an upside, what a player. And the fact that he's American as well. And I want to have American tennis. Something I couldn't say no to, and so far the relationship's awesome. And he just took out Djokovic last night. I was literally pacing my whole room.
Good job, coach.
Imagine beating Djokovic, and you're not even in the city. Your first tournament as a coach, you're not even there with him, and you already beat Djokovic.
I almost flew, so I'm in Sydney. Yeah, I'm in Sydney right now. He's in Brisbane. I was like, I had to practice with Coco and Fritz from 2 to 4. He played at 8 o'clock. We're an hour ahead. I was like, what if I go straight from the courts to the airport, fly there, watch the match, come the next morning, come back to warm him up, play this match? And I was like, okay. I mean, obviously we all knew him to beat Djokovic, the percentage so small. But then at the same time, as I was talking to him and his confidence, I was texting. We had the same agent, so I texted him. I texted Jay Berger, who I coach with Reilly, and I was like, if he executes our game plan here, he's gonna win. He's gonna upset him, and he's gonna shock the world. Okay. And little do you know, that's exactly what he did. I was literally pacing this room at 11 o'clock at night and just fist pumping at the screen, fuck yeah. I was like, I don't think I could do that in a box. Thank God I was able to do this actually here. It probably worked for the better. I'm a big energy guy, so okay. I was like, yeah, the energy's there. The energy's there.
How many weeks did you get to spend with him in the off season?
I guess I probably did we started December 1st, so I live 3 hours away from him, so I was kind of commuting here and there, but I did all the weeks until the last week because Florida was insane in December, how much wind there was. You could barely play tennis at that point. So kind of working on shots and developing certain things for him and the confidence just kind of made no sense. So he did the last week in LA, and then that's last time I saw him. So right before Christmas. And then I haven't seen him since, but we just obviously been in communication. So I'm the telephone coach for now.
Okay. What does a off season for a player like Reilly, for his skill set and game style, what does his off season look like?
Yeah, I mean, for him, he's a different player, right? So, for me, the way I did it, was just literally kill my body. But I think nowadays, I don't think that really makes sense. You see guys get hurt all the time. Guys are playing so much. You realize you have to look at the sports science, and it makes no sense to just kill yourself. You're like, what's going to happen? You go and you win a couple tournaments and you're going to be hurt by February, March, and you're losing time. So is that worth it? I mean, maybe for the top guys because you're trying to peak at a slam, but for everybody else, I don't know. I'm not sure. So for him, we don't need him to run side to side. We don't need him to be a player like I was, where I need to run all the time. It's more just dialing in his weapons, making sure he imposes himself on the court. I tell him, I try not to tell him too much, but I tell him all the time, this thing is just like, if you're virtually unbeatable, when you play well and you execute, nobody can beat you. It's impossible. So I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but at the same time, you want to be realistic. It's not going to happen every single day, but obviously it's a place like last night, like what a win to have to start the year, especially everything he's been through, and kind of his comeback was all right. Had a couple wins, couple tough losses, and he's losing first round in a challenger and then beats Djokovic 8 weeks later. Just shows that where his levels really can be, and it is between the ears. So, he started to believe, he executed, and it was just, that's how we approached the preseason. And then again, it was just details, power, how we wanted to set up plays. But at the same time, we don't believe in kind of creating set patterns. Players are just too good. They'll catch on to patterns. And it's I know that you know that I know that you know habits. And then that's the beauty with him, is he can just serve any single spot and control rhythm of matches. He can throw away return games, and he's still, playing his game style. And I think that's the beauty of his ability.
How do you goal set with a guy like this who's had the injuries? He's been really high in the world, and he's had the injuries. Maybe the confidence is in and out. So how do you approach a year like this coming into the coaching team?
Yeah, I mean, I told him, he has to kind of take his time. Health is the biggest thing. It's so much different at that height. You're so much more fragile. So for us, he doesn't play as much as everybody else. So he needs to capitalize on his weeks. And if he's healthy, that's when he can play his best. If he's kind of dinged up a little bit, it just depends to what degree, because who's really healthy out here at the end of the day. So for him, as long as he can be, 80%, I'm happy with that. 75, 80%, and nothing detrimental. It's just kind of picking and choosing and finding the right locations to capitalize in his game. But like I said, I don't think there's a surface or a tournament where he's going to struggle. What's the worst thing I could possibly think of is maybe grass, but that's just, I feel like, what everybody said, the big guys don't like grass. I'm like, well, why not? They should love grass. It's insane. Okay. But then at the same time, what's special about Reilly, I think everybody overlooks how good he is from the back. He is very, very good in the back. You throw him into a baseline game, he will beat a lot of guys. Okay. And everyone's like, what? So I think that was a difference between him, Isner, Karlovic. He's insane. Look at what he played with Djokovic, and probably the percentage of baseline points won. It was pretty close, rather than being 80% Novak. So that's kind of how we're approaching it. And again, just health, mindset, get him super confident and dictating every single match he possibly can.
Well, it's Friday, and you're not announcing that you're a coach until Monday, but you're a sneaky candidate for Coach of the Year already, and no one knows it yet. So
Coach of the Year.
How sick is that?
We'll see.
January 3rd, and I'm already throwing him in.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool to be Coach of the Year for sure. Again, at the end of the day, that's not why you're doing it. But at the same time, I was like, hey, if he has a hell of a year and he goes from 300 to 20 in the world, because why not? Look at what happened to Perricard. I was practicing with him in Columbus, Ohio, the year before last year. Okay, so 2023 Columbus, we practiced. I knew the French coach forever, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's fine. He was so predictable, had a 2-shot tolerance, wasn't that great. It was very easy to read, and then all of a sudden he gets hot, wins a tour event, guy's 20 in the world, and that guy's insane right now. I'm like, this guy could, make a semis of a major right now. he's going to be top 20 for the rest of his career. So then we start looking at that like, why can't that be you? That's the advantage of these big guys is they can just light it up and then you're unbeatable. It doesn't matter what you do at 6 foot, 6'1". Like the power is too much. No one's faster than a ball. Nobody. So if the ball gets by you and he's executing, like too bad.
So how different is it? So you said you don't really believe in the pattern thing too much, but with the different, let's say, sizes, so the Reilly can do whatever he wants pretty much, and the serve's not going to come back, or it's going to come back short, and he can pretty much hold serve.
I mean...
But guys, 6'1", 6'2", how did they create, let's say, a consistent way of attacking without becoming predictable? Or do you have to have unbelievable shots?
So the way I see the game, in a way, is like everyone's weaknesses, I think you need to have a little bit kind of a set play. So, I mean, for me, when I was playing like with my forehand, if it wasn't feeling good, I never went cross more than once. I go cross, I go line, or I shove it back line because I want to get into the backhand rallies and no reason for me to be stubborn to the forehand. No matter how good or bad the other guy's is, I got to get out of it. So you have the set plays there. You have a set play to maybe... you might see it in a match where like, if you go backhand cross a couple times, you get a backhand line, he's going to slide in with the forehand cross. That's a good time for you to come in, but he might be able to go low cross. He might be able to hit a high line if you volley here. So you kind of have like a set play. That just depends on how your mind works. Some guys can't think like that and they just get frozen, and some guys can. So there's a set play, but then at the same time, like you got to be creative. I think guys that are just playing the same pattern, boring, like it might work at a certain level, but at the top level, these guys are way too good. So it's not just you need to play a different spot to the court every time, and you need to play like a short angle here, there, deep cross. You can't go to the same place twice, but it's like you got to mess around with paces. You can hit backhand crosses, hit a big one, hit one at 80%, hit one at like 60%, but make it look the same. Sell it with the grunt. Slices, hitting a short slice, a deep slice. How you slice it line.
It with the grunt is crazy.
Telling you.
Oh yeah,
like
I do that.
Delayed grunt, it works.
The amount of times I've done that. What's one of my favorite plays is in doubles. In doubles, you'd go big, 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 and then I would tell guys, every time I did it with a player, they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Look, I'm going. What was it? I T left, but I'm going low." But I'm hitting this first serve like 80 miles an hour, but I'm grunting loud. So I'd go like, and the guy like split step was wrong, but then like he's off, so he's just managing, and then the front guy at the net just takes it. I'm like, it fucking works. Like guys, because that's the thing, like mixing up the first serve speeds, that's huge. Then you can't just bomb unless you're Reilly, but that stuff works, and people don't think about that because when guys get so tight, you just can't see that. You don't have enough time. Like do
you believe in like mixing up return positions and like standing
Absolutely.
like here and that sort of stuff?
No, you have to mix it up. I always felt like return was one of the strongest parts of my game. Yeah, you have to move around.
You got to do it.
You have to. But
Justin used to hate that.
Like
Just used to hate that. Like imagine you're in training and like someone's doing that to Justin, and Justin's the one serving and they're moving around. Like Josh Sheehy used to do this to Justin all the time. He used to hate it. Like, what are you doing?
But
you have to do
an example. You'll play certain things, and it'll be like, all right, well, I'm going to cover wide, make you look like I'm covering it, but then I'm going to force you to go T, but then I'm going to cover T after I got to move, but I can't move too early because then you're going to see that. And anybody who serve depends how much they turn, how they don't. I always looked at that stuff. I love returning. I love it. So I'll never forget. One of the first times I knew I was a good returner was very, very young. Junior Orr?
Yeah.
So we grew up together. We played so many times. I'm not sure I ever told him this. He watches this probably for sure. But his serve was absolute bomb. And I caught on something whenever I played him. So not necessarily I was going to return it back, but I touched it all the time. So he always walked to the line. And he was a lefty, so he always naturally put his racket in as a slider serve. When he messed around with it, I knew he was going T. So
I guess the stuff he's doing right now.
So when I heard Agassi talk about the Becker stuff, I was like, how many good returners are doing that? And it's just obvious. Guys do that. They have little things you can look at. You can look at eyes. I remember talking to Sock. Sock was a pretty good return. He was like last second, I'd look at where the guy was looking. Everybody looks like last second where they're going to serve. And he was just like, I stare in their eyes as long as possible. And I was like, wow, like that's good. I tried that for a little bit. I was like, it kind of works. Like,
Intimate.
Yeah.
Intimate
But then now it's there's so many things that are going on, but that part I think is so interesting. It's so fun. It's such a chess match on the return.
Is that
spot.
Reilly's offseason training? Finding the guy's eyes on the other side of the court? Is that
No,
Reilly's
we're not doing
offseason
it.
training
We're not
for the
doing it
return?
that way. We're not doing it that way. More just focusing on kind of just making sure he's attacking his return and that's it. But footwork, keeping it simple. Some guys have naturally the right grip for it. Some guys don't. But yeah, you have to mess around kind of where you stand, where you don't. Again, I compare everything to it works. One spot can work at a certain level, but the top level, these guys are too good unless you're literally like Demon Hour and you don't need to move because you're just returns a joke. So
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry for interrupting the episode. It would mean a lot to us if you could subscribe to the channel. That's the best way to support us and help us to continue to make fun episodes with cool guests. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of the episode.
How did you manage the moment to switch? Was it like, okay, the host said I stay here and at 4 I'm gonna go way back or way in, or was it just kind of like within the game you was changing?
yeah, it's a little bit within the game. You're gonna have to play momentum, play the score. I don't think there's a lot of guys that know how to teach that. I think when to be aggressive, like, okay, when's the right time to be doing the saber? Is it on your first break point? Like, probably not. But if also the momentum of the match, like, you want to kind of do that earlier so you have it later. When to go back, that kind of depends. If the guy, not going to serve and volley, I mean, you can go and drop back and not have to worry about anything. Depends on your game style. Like, I thought, for me, I didn't like dropping back too much, but I would do it if a guy was just bodying me huge with slice and killing me, and I was just too far into the court. I'd take a half a step back. That would do the exact same thing. And if I still wasn't getting rewarded and he wasn't giving me the height of the ball, I'd go back. I'm like, all right, play it deep middle, set. I know how to position myself in the court. I have to know that he's going to open and try to run me into my forehand for the most part. I know how to manage. I'm going to literally hit it down the line at like 80%, just shove it side spin and then get myself back into it. And that's kind of how my mentality was towards the end of my career. Beginning, I wasn't thinking like that at all.
Were
I was
you a
so
big
tight.
stats guy?
No, I'm not a big stats guy. I don't.
Okay.
I think you can look at stats, but now everybody knows they're looking at stats, and I know that you know that I know, and that
I think. You hate
I think it's like
I know.
That's twice now.
Yeah, but it's true. But it's true. So you look at the stats, you're like, okay, he goes wide on break points 70% of the time, but how do I know that one time he goes, it's going to be in the 30% or the 70%? Like, you can give yourself that idea, but yeah. I just think I think you get frozen when you look at stats too much. And I think that's any good player doesn't play like that. They play like with variety, with creativity. Like, I always told myself it was controlled creativity. So you do that, and then that just was so much better. Like, you have a time to play the stats, and sometimes you got to go with your gut and the way it works. Because every week's different, every condition's different. Like, if I'm getting a stats on you, if I'm playing you and I got stats on you playing clay court tournaments, what's that going to do for me on grass? Like, it's completely different. Yeah. So that's why it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch that.
Okay, for sure. And so coming back to you now at the United Cup, with you knowing your decision to go into coaching now at the beginning of this year, does that change your role in the United Cup? And what's the camp like there?
No, not really. I mean, this is my third year doing it. I kind of know what I sign up for. You're not really on court much, but I just try to be a team player. I always enjoyed this event. I thought it was a great way to kind of start the year and get a good check. It's fun to kind of watch, Fritz. It was Pegula before. Now it's kind of Coco. You kind of get to hit with them. You got to see their mentality, how they kind of manage a match, what they're talking in between points. So I think that's definitely a huge thing to learn. I was taking a lot of things as a player, and then now as a coach, I think it's awesome. Now I'm almost watching the coaches more than the players. Like, okay, how are you managing the player? What are they doing here? Because I feel like I know what I'm doing, but again, like I'm in the very, very beginning stages. So like, it's natural to have doubts. So you're kind of testing your doubts based on like kind of what they're doing a little bit. And I don't want to be a coach or believe in any coaches that it's like, it's one philosophy and it's my philosophy and that's it. Like, nah, the game changes left and right. You have to have an open mind, and you gotta learn from whoever you can, especially the best of the best. So, the role hasn't changed too much. Everybody knows here that I'm retiring. So I just try to be energy on there. Like the last match, Coco was having tough versus the girl was like Del Potro. We were calling her Del Potro from China. It was a joke, and I was just like, "Get the shovel out. Let's start digging. I was like, I might go find like the closest Home Depot and go get like a shovel. I'm just gonna bring it to the court. So I just try to be a team player, get the energy going, and it's a good time.
Nice.
This is way off topic, but since you're so observant, who are like 3 or 4 names of the biggest dogs on tour? Like people who are so tough to play against. They fight so hard. They play crazy mind games.
I mean, I'm gonna like just take the top 4 out because that's already a given. Mm-hmm. Biggest dogs ever to play. I mean, Demon Hour, but I'm not even sure I played him. You watch him the Nori. Right Nori. He's Nori's so annoying. Like his game is so nasty. Like you cannot hit the ball well against him, and it's such a terrible.
The backhand is so low, and the forehand comes up so high. It's like
plays it perfect. He's tough. Kind of blanking a little bit. Fritz right now.
I was about to say, it took you so long.
Underrated on that one. Yeah, I know. He's a joke right now. His tennis IQ is pretty special. It's pretty amazing in the way he looks at the game, the way he talks through the whole match, the confidence level. It's actually pretty ridiculous. I saw it for the first time when we won the United Cup 2 years ago. And he was like, "Yeah, I got this. I'm like, "Are you sure you got this? Like, these guys are pretty good. Like, this is tough." And he beat everybody. I was like, "Wow, I'm never doubting you again. This is literally insane." I don't worry one bit when he's on the court.
I heard this a couple years ago about him that his confidence and self belief is a joke.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then dogs and fighting. You gotta somehow go Spanish somehow, right? Italian. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm blanking right now.
How about the college guy? Like, if you've played against Liam Draxler, you've seen him on tour.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the college energy on tour? Because I don't think you skipped the college route.
I hate it. I hate it.
Bro, you're gonna get comments in the bottom of this podcast supporting you. Like they hate it as well.
I have 2 sides to it. I think first, if you're gonna go crazy and do all that, it's like, for me, as I felt like a top player in the Challenger, I was like, I know this is your last resort. You can't beat me. You're just trying to play mind games with me. On the other side of it, if that's all it takes for you to beat me, go ahead and do it. It's that simple. But then another side to that is
we're so reliant. The third side.
We're so reliant. Yeah. The 3-sided coin.
Yeah.
Never
I know that you know that I know. Okay.
Yeah. The other side. We're so reliant on each other, right? You have to have good relationship with players. So like you're threading. It's close. Like, okay, you could piss a lot of people off, and then you find yourself alone, and that becomes very difficult, because if you're winning, it's great, but once you go down, you start realizing, hey, you start asking for help. You want some hits and stuff, and guys are like, "Nah, I'm set. I'm set," and that stuff bites you in the ass. Trust me, I've seen it happen. Okay. And I tell all these guys, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised 10 years after your career, you might need a job, So 5 years, 1 year after your career. Yeah. And that guy that you pissed off, maybe he retired a little bit earlier.
Not everyone's going to be coach of the year 2025, Like first weekend, beat Novak.
I believe in relationships and all that stuff, and then you have the respect. I also don't think like we need to be super gentlemanly all the time and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to say come on to my friend" and all that stuff. Like, no, it is war. It is war. Like, you're taking my money, and we got to play for it. But you got to hope that your friends or your closest guys on tour understand. Like, all right, for these 2 hours, we're dogs, and then after, like, all right, well, chill, but we're good. We're good. So. Okay. We'll see.
Well, another, I guess, popular topic in tennis media right now is I don't know if this one's necessarily about relationships, but all of these doping situations and the accusations being thrown and people talking about favoritism and that sort of stuff. So talk to us, Coach. What do you think on the recent stuff? I guess we don't have to go too deep in any specific one, but do you have any thoughts on the recent, I guess, Sinner, Swiatek, Max Purcell?
I was always like afraid of taking like Advil. This last year I had to take like just simple ibuprofen. I was like, I don't want to do this to my insides, so I was always very, very against just taking anything. When it comes to the drug testing, it is very interesting right now. I guess I would have never paid attention to it unless so many people blew it up, where just some people are getting treated differently in that regard. The time frames are different. But then you also have to look at, okay, there's fair sport, but we're also a business. You look at the top, and this is just my theory, I could be completely wrong. I'm pretty sure the case study, you look at like what happened to the Tour de France, what happened to Lance. You take him down, that sport tarnished.
Okay.
They're just getting back. And how long has Lance been out? Like, that took a huge hit. Like, what if they're thinking like, do we want to take these guys out? Like, everyone thinks they're cheaters and all that stuff. Like, okay, like, who do you make an example of? I thought it was easy for them to pop Sharapova. And I was like, yeah, she's big deal. But I feel like there's a lot of people that don't like her. Like, look at us. We're tough, But I always thought every sport had some people that doped for sure. It's in every sport. Why would we be excluded from that? But at the same time, how people are doing it, there's so many different ways of doing it. And from just what I've heard, and then WADA is they usually say you're 10 years behind like the best drug.
Okay.
So if they know what they're doing, they're 10 years ahead. Like, technically they could say we're doing something that's not illegal yet. That's an argument to that. But all this other stuff, when I hear it, like the tainted here and there and how random it is, like, why is that even near you?
Yeah.
Why you control everything. So you can have nothing touch your body or in your body. So why is that? Why are you even flirting with that? And if it's tainted, it's your responsibility. Like, we are told, if you take anything, it's your responsibility what it is. And then now they're like, we forgive you. You're good.
But that's what I'm saying about the responsibility part. That's what I'm stuck on, because like I read, for example, the Iga's case, right? Before this podcast, I was reading because I didn't want to come in not knowing anything. And from what I read and understood, she followed all the rules, right? Which was like August 12th, she took a test. And then by the time they got the results, September 12th was the mandatory suspension. She appealed within 10 days. And because of that, that's why it was kept quiet, because the suspension was lifted on the 4th because her appeal was approved. So,
yeah.
I don't understand why. Like it says, Iga's provisional suspension was not publicly disclosed because she appealed the provisional suspension within 10 days of notice, and the appeal was successful. So the two things that I don't understand is, why did it come out in the end? And then the second thing that I don't understand is, like, wouldn't anyone just like, can't everyone just use that excuse? Like the excuse that, I didn't know that I took it,
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Without you took it?
Without me saying that she did or didn't. Like, that's besides the point.
Everyone's always going to use that. But
yeah.
I remember like a long time ago, I was asking like, why is like ITF and WADA like posting this drug testing thing and just like tarnishing this person's image like so badly, I'm like, I would have just like rather just take it on the chin. Like, okay, let's say you dope and you do whatever. You're like, all right, just let me just take it, but like as low key as possible, but they do it. But I guess, I could be wrong. I thought I heard this like, this could have been like 10 years ago, where if they don't say anything if you get caught. But I think if you appeal it, which every single person does, then it can be made public. So most people appeal and will lose. So that's why it goes public. But it doesn't go public if you don't appeal it. But that could be so wrong.
She appealed and won, and that's why it's not supposed to be.
I guess she won and it didn't. So maybe it was never supposed to come out.
Exactly.
And then it did.
But that's what I'm scared about, is that can't anyone, like every single person, just say the same thing that Sinner and Swiatek did, because they're in the same case. And I guess Max Purcell, they all, according to them, unwillingly. I guess Purcell's own is that he took an IV and he took more than he should have. But like still, it was out of his control in a way, because he told them how much to do and they did more. And then he went to them and told them, hey, like they accidentally gave me more IV and now he's going through his stuff. So like, But I'm just concerned, can't everyone just say, oh, I didn't
I
realize
think
that I
everybody
was
does
doing
do that. I think everybody does do that, and then they just kind of like pick and choose and do all that.
Bro,
I think
if you don't know where something comes from, like if you took something and you had no clue,
it's on you. That's on you. I agree.
Also, how do they figure out what it was? Like if I didn't, do they test everything? They test all the supplements and they test everything they took in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Like how do they figure out so quickly if they were so shocked that it happened? Like I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I mean, when things are tainted, but like, okay. And I mean, I've heard arguments of like, oh, it's so little, it shouldn't matter. I mean, I think I heard it on Roddick's podcast where he was talking about it and he was like, why are we testing for something that is so like minuscule in your blood system that like doesn't even make a difference? But then I understood that point. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should have like a threshold of whatever.
Yeah.
Like if it's so small, why are we even testing for that? Using that resources. Okay.
Yeah.
But the counter to that for me would be like, what if it's an end of a cycle and you missed it, right? And that's a little bit of a trace.
Exactly.
So it just kind of gives you an indication. You know, I've heard people say like, oh, people can like microdose and it's undetectable. And I was like, what? I mean, how's that possible? So like, if that's the case and you're drugged and then that's it, like, all right, people are getting away with it. You need the trace. That's all you got to work with. But I don't know. At the same time, I try not to get involved too much. Like, do I think like, okay, if I was a player, if I was like, okay, maybe if I'm like Fritz or TFO and all that stuff, I'd be like, all right, am I losing these matches because this guy's doping? Yeah, I'd be concerned. Like the career that I had, did I think I lost anybody because they were cheating? Like, no, that's not why I lost matches.
Bro, I'm not saying that Sinner did or didn't cheat, first of all. So don't attack me in the comments when I say what I'm about to say. But when Francis played Sinner in the final,
attacked already. They already started typing.
Yeah. By the time they get him, I'm already getting hate comments anyway. But when Francis shook Sinner's hand in Cincinnati, he said something along the lines of, I'm tired, I'm not used to playing this many matches. I don't know how you guys do it. Something along the lines of that. Like, not word for word, but like, yeah. And then right after that's when it came out.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
Bro, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're neutral. We're not the investigators. All we do is have an opinion, have some thoughts.
It doesn't matter what you say right now. We're already getting touched down below. I want you to know.
I laugh, so I'm guilty as well. So
I don't laugh as much.
Are there comments like that are live?
No. But by next week Wednesday there'll be some. Check next week.
Torch me. That's fine. I mean, of course, there's always going to be somebody that wants to not believe the truth, if there is a truth or not. But at the same time, like, if he appeals or whoever it is, if they appeal and they're cleared, then they're cleared. They're ready to go. They did what they did. So, and they're free. So it's not up to us. Like, we're not the police in this. So,
exactly.
I was going to say, I'd have a lot stronger say, but I don't have the information. I don't have the notes. I don't have the resources. So like, what can I say except for what a headline tells me? So that's all I have to work on.
I was going to say that what I think tennis needs is like, you know how the NBA commissioner will release statements and stuff. Like, how come we don't have a tennis person that's coming out with statements and doing interviews and like, you know, answering the questions for the common people who are not great at reading documents of dates and all this stuff, you know? Like, I believe that we need like a press conference or something of that sort, just to clarify like the accusations of like, I don't know.
But could you say he kind of did a press conference? Because wasn't he getting grilled on that at the Open? Or no?
Yeah, but I don't know how much he actually talked about it.
Yeah, I think people ask questions, but then you can deflect and stuff. But at the same time, like, why would he want to talk about that? Why would he want to consume himself?
Yeah, exactly.
Because only time you're going to touch him is at a tournament to be able to talk to him. So, but obviously that's the last thing he wants to talk about, trying to win a slam. So I get it. I get it from that point of view.
Someone from the ATP or something needs to do a press conference.
This is a side subject, has nothing to do with this. You know what I was talking about with the team here? I was like, you know what tennis needs is we need to have press conferences of matches like beforehand, like calling people out. So we have like trash talk.
Okay. Like boxing?
WWE?
Yeah, you're just like, well, maybe they do. But I was like, God, if we created like little beef in our sport, it would be so much more fun to watch. Like, man, this guy, I don't know. Like, this guy sucks. Like, I'm gonna beat his ass. Like, do whatever.
That's why
that's extreme. That's
why I want Senna and Kyrgios to play at the Aussie. Oh my God.
I know. Like exactly what Kyrgios is doing. Like, if there was more of that, everybody wants to watch that. If that happens, that is prime time. That is absolute prime time. Everyone's going to be watching. And I was like, God, we need more of that. Maybe not to that extent. Like, that's not what don't want to get too personal, but how good is that in other sports? You know, when they do something like, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. And I don't think we have enough of that. It's too many people like,
and we play so often though. Also, it's a little different. Like,
yeah, and that kind of goes back to like the first thing, like
the
relationships. I mean, I think a lot of people are too sensitive, so that's just society. But what are you going to do?
Sport.
Too soft. Come on, like I love trash talking. I trash talk I'd probably say the last 5 years of my career, I started trash talking in practice, and I got so good at it. Everyone's like, "You trash talk?" I'm like, "I trash talk big time."
Do you trash talk in matches?
No, not really. No. But I trash talk. I would like to, but I mean, what I say is not going to fly. So they're not going to let me. But I do it in practice.
It's about relationships, huh? You want to keep good relationships. It's just lighthearted.
You know why I do it in practice? I do it in a funny way, but like really, really trash talk, because it engages everybody to play like the set as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And that's when the sets become so fun.
Yeah.
And I think you get so much out of it. Like, you can recreate like some nerves because you're just
for pride.
Shit talking. Yeah. And I think that's like such a good skill. Like, some guys are robots and just start talking. I love it.
Okay.
I've had to apologize a couple times, but I love it still.
That's funny. All right, Justin, you want to get some over under? Yeah. Why don't you explain in case we have any new subs what this segment is?
This segment is called Over or Underrated. I'm going to give you basically a topic, maybe some context beforehand, and you let me know if you think it's over or underrated, and we'll discuss if we agree, disagree.
Got it.
We just run our mouths a little bit.
I like it.
Last year during the US Open, like John Wertheim posted some tweet where he said something along the lines of the USTA needs to pick a side. Like, they can't say that we are responsible for player development and building champions, and then also take credit when they had Fritz, Tiafoe, Pegula, and I'm not sure who else, maybe Coco, were deep in the US Open. So, in your opinion, based on your experience with the USTA, do you think that player development is over or underrated?
Wow. That's a hot topic right there.
You know what's funny about this? This man told me not to tell him what the overrated, underrated was before, because he wants to see the reaction when we tell him.
Yeah, I like it. I do. This is what people want to see. I don't want a scripted answer. You want to feel it. I mean, for me, I think you can almost say both. I mean, right now,
you're retired now. Give me the truth. Give me the real.
Come on, just let it.
No, I critique them. Right now, I would say that it's overrated. It's overrated right now. I don't think it's at its peak, what it's doing. I think there's too many moving parts. I think what happened with kind of budgets and after COVID, and what happened with the actual tournament itself, you know, who's in the positions, getting the players to Orlando. Like, it's not ideal right now. I think there are a lot of good pieces in player development, but as a whole, I think the philosophies have like changed too much. I don't feel like they get free reign completely to do whatever they want. And at the same time, I think, kind of, yeah. I mean, at times, but I think because sometimes it's just like it's a system. But you know, the next part, I do feel like there's a huge opportunity of like guys like myself, you know, guys that had good careers that stopped, Americans that want to help. And, you know, if they can give us opportunities, you know, maybe we can create something and really, you know, make player development underrated. Just with the experience, I think there's a lot of good coaches out there, but nobody really wants to travel. Nobody wants to do what it takes, you know, and I get it. You know, people have families, they just get burnt out. They don't want to be on the road 35 weeks, but my brutal opinion is if you want to be a coach on tour and do all this stuff, like that's what it entails. You know, like I'm not a big believer in these like 15-week coaches and all that stuff. I'm like, what are you doing in 15 weeks? Like, give me a break, you know? So like commit or don't, You know, you can work with somebody. You can do that. Like, okay, maybe you have this culture of everyone has like 2-3 coaches. You're on the same page. It's very, very difficult. Someone really has to be on the same page. There has to be no egos involved. Once there's a little bit of an ego, that's going to crumble. But yeah, I think just the way player development can really succeed and be the best thing ever. Just some changes, but at the same time, the higher ups are the ones that are controlling kind of the resources they get. So I don't feel like they're at max potential with even being a slam, but I criticize every single slam. I think it's so interesting. Like they're like the countries that are just, you know, oh, this is so wrong, this is that. And I mean, you're always going to have haters or critique, but it can be done smooth and easy. But the politics get involved. You can only do so much. So I think that's where my reasoning for overrated is. If you could get rid of the politics, which I don't know how, then it would be a different story. But at the same time, would it be player development if it goes that way? I don't know.
Like money wise, what would you do differently? Like, would you? It seems that they've taken some money out of the challenges, out of the futures. They've have had less tournaments, which in my opinion,
well, I guess that's another part. You have the tournaments. Like, how are we? Like, I say it to the Aussies all the time because they have the worst schedule ever. I'm like, how? I think the Australian Open gets help from the government, so they get to run the tournament. I could be wrong, but I think they get help from the government.
And slide that one in there, just sneak that one in there.
Yeah, of course. I got to protect myself.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm in the country.
But here it goes anyway.
They get all this money, right? And same thing with like Wimbledon, but it's a little bit different story with Wimbledon. But Australia, I'm like, how do you guys not have 20 challengers, 20 hundreds? You can literally shove 10 guys into the top 100. You guys complain about, we don't have this, we need a Grand Slam champion, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Guys don't work hard, coaches don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can shove guys in there with tournaments. It's the same thing in the States. Like, we just have a bunch of 75s, and I've mentioned a bunch in private where I'm like, how are you going to, okay, max, you can get like 4 guys in there. And that has to be the same 4 guys winning every single week, making the semis. And that's so hard to do on top of other results. Like, you put a bunch of hundreds and 125s, you're just shoving guys in there, shoving guys in the top 100. It becomes a numbers game. And then if you have a numbers game, like, of course, they're going to start pushing each other. Hopefully you create a culture where they want to train together. You know, that goes back into player development. You're like, hey guys, let's all get into like the USTA, like do all this stuff. We'll get the help, like create an unbelievable training environment. And then that's how you're going to get guys that just start to shine. You get 20 to 30. And like, if you can do it, I can do it. And then I think that's kind of what happened with this whole young group of just Tommy, Francis, Reilly, Fritz. Like, it's insane. So, and look what they're doing right now. Like,
but even the group coming in after them, they're all in Boca. Like, all of the guys who are really good in college, coming out to college, they're all doing that, like training together down in Boca.
Yeah, I mean, Boca is definitely the hot spot right now. South Florida is huge. I mean, Orlando, like I've used Orlando a lot my last like 2 years living closer there. But it's the city is tough. It's tough.
I was going to ask that, like, how much of a problem is it for the pros that it's
it's a certain personality. It's a certain personality that's going to thrive there. The resources itself are great. The facilities are great. The courts are good. The gym is sick. You know, you got good coaches. You got good fitness as much as you want. You got the programs. Hit whenever you want. Balls. I mean, that's super underrated. And then all of a sudden, you know, you grind and then you go home and you're like, what is this place? You know, I think you need to be a robot. I think it appeals to the robot. I think 10 years from now, when that place gets like more developed and there's a little bit more of a culture there, it's a lot better. I think if you're like more downtown Orlando, like Winter Park area, that's kind of like the hot spot, the fun place to live, but it's 35, 40 minutes away. How many people want to do that? Crazy expensive. And then that's also, you got to be careful. Like, if you're a guy that, you know, gets enticed to like want to go out and do stuff, like, is that the spot you want to live? You know, you have to know yourself and be honest. Or how bad do you want your career to not having that? So I think that's where it's tough. I mean, driving those roads into Nona isn't like, wow, this is amazing. Like, there's cows to the left. You got palm trees, and like, you could tell it was built like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. So I think that's what's tough. But if you're like I don't know, you're in a cool, okay, let's say Charleston, right? You go to that club. I don't know if you ever played that tournament or
I
not.
heard it's a joke. I heard it's
It's
unreal.
so nice. It's insane. I was like, yeah, I'd train all day here. Like, this is sick. I don't want to leave the site. I want to hang out.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of that matters, especially with how draining the tour is and how much you travel. Like, you got to, like, you really want to love home. You want to make your space your own and like really want to be there. Like, if you don't even like where you train and then you get sick of hotels and stuff, like, where's your reset? You know,
Do they
where's
have
your
food there at Lake Nona? Like on
They
site?
do. They set it up. They set it up at times. It's not always there,
Okay.
but they do set it up at times. Yeah.
Because I was
Especially like in the
talking
preseason.
to, I have a cousin that plays professional soccer. He's in like one of the, not the MLS, but like a league below the MLS. But I trained with him like twice this week, and I was just talking to him about his routine, like when he's at his club. I guess the question I asked him was like, yo, do you play video games? He's like, no, I don't really have time. And I was like, what do you mean you don't have time? He's like, yeah, like I get to the club for 8, I eat breakfast. And then I guess he didn't go into specifics, but he's like, yeah, training, fitness, physio, whatever he has to do. Then he eats lunch and he does all of that in his time. And then he leaves at 4. So at the end of the day is when he goes home at 4 and then he has to prepare his dinner. And I guess then he wants to spend time talking to his family and stuff. And then it's time to go to sleep, do it all over again. And I personally don't have that, but I feel like USTA, the way they set up, everything's in house. Like they have that where you can arrive for training, do everything you want to do in the day, and then go home at the end of the day. Like it's a lot more convenient that way. I mean, and most tennis players don't have that.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely more convenient. Like doing a preseason in Orlando is one of the best things you can do right now. A lot of guys come in, the intensity is so high. It's such a competitive environment. So I think that's huge. I think, I've criticized in the last like probably 5, 6, 7 years where now guys are just like isolating themselves like more and more and more. Like I'm guilty of it too, but the group training spots where like when I first started, it didn't even think twice. So like you went to Boca, you went to Tampa, everyone's there. That's it. And you wouldn't even, you go to Ponte Vedra back in the day, there's always like 10 guys. Now it's like you can't find anywhere that has more than 2 guys. And then if the schedule is a little bit different, then you never hitting with anybody. You're hitting with juniors all the time. Like now I almost say to a lot of guys, like live near a college, like is massive. Using like top college players, like it's huge, but it only takes you so far. Yeah. I know. So, the convenience for sure is massive. It's a huge help, but then it has to be done right. Like, again, you can work smart or, anywhere, but I think just having a lot of players is the key to the most part. And then kind of minimizing, bouncing around from place to place, having some kind of consistency. But we'll see what happens with how the generation's moving.
Hey guys, quick break. Justin here from the Changeover. I'm going to talk about Pro Stringer. It's a great machine that I use, Jody uses, and a lot of other pros use as well. You can use it at home, on the road, really anywhere there's a tabletop surface. It takes me about 25-30 minutes to string a racket on this machine. It is easy to travel with, fits in carry-on, suitcase, tennis bag, no issues at TSA. It's a big money saver. And you can save even more when you use our code CHANGEOVER to get $100 off the machine. Back to the episode. How do you feel about the way they do the wildcard challenges now for the slams? I remember when I was really young, I would be like at Everett in Boca, and they would have like Oz Open wildcard challenge and be like Tim Smith versus like Chase Buchanan or somebody.
I played those. I played those. Yeah. I played those.
Do you prefer the way it is now with the challenger results, or did you like the head-to-head American against?
So I like the events. I like the events of the wild cards. I thought they were really interesting and really put out some pressure. But the politics involved of who gets picked was always a problem. I thought now what they could do is, if it's clear, give everybody like a year in advance. So let's say next year they do the wild card challenge the same, but we're like in January 1, 2026, we are going to pick whoever are the first 8 out of main draw are in the event. So that's it. Everybody knows I got to get in top 8, just like a cut, just like all the times. No politics involved. Doesn't matter who you are. You get to play. 3 out of 5 starts from the quarters. You can make it 16 guys if you want and just make it like a long weekend or just a 1-week tournament. When you're going to do that week, now that's the issue. Where you're going to play it, that's another thing. But the way we do it now, it does take the politics out of it, and it does reward like who's the hottest guy going into the slam, which is also like pretty important. If someone's just, on fire, like they should get the wild card. But then now it's like, all right, how do you gauge like who's playing a weaker tournament, who's playing a stronger tournament? If you have like a bad week, but one guy can really go way deeper in the draw, like I think that's where it's tough. So I like if there was an 8 to 16 person cut, and then that's who plays the tournament. So you take politics out and you get the event.
Okay.
But what's isn't it kind of tough though, like to play devil's advocate, because it sounds like it's a great idea, but then isn't it just another event on an already long calendar? Because one of the topics that I wanted to talk to you about was like the off season being so small. Like I saw you at the Challengers in November, and then after I saw you, I played 4 more tournaments,
which is insane to me. Insane.
I know, but I was losing. I was losing left and right, so I need to try to get some dubs, right? Which I didn't.
Insane.
But I played 4 more tournaments, and then now you're already at United Cup, and you've been there for a week and a half. So
you listen to Nothing Major, the other podcast, those 4 guys, or whatever.
Is it a question or a statement?
No, a question. It was a question, but it doesn't matter. They brought it up.
Okay.
I listen to all tennis podcasts. I like them all. I was listening, and they made a good point. I was like, they have
nerd.
They have. Do players really want a shorter off season? And I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people that just love playing because the culture's changed. Where I used to start playing, and I would never schedule more than like 3 to 4 weeks in a row. Now playing 7-8 weeks in a row is like a given. Like you see 9 tournaments in the fall.
But don't you think that's guilt, like to try and keep up with other people who are doing that?
Like So there's the argument of someone goes, you can make your own schedule. You don't have to play every week. But if I don't play every week, I just go down. I just keep dropping. I keep dropping because everyone's playing, so I have to play. And it's just the way the system works. So the only way we'll ever get a shorter off season is if the mass majority says, we need to cut the calendar off. But at the same time, tennis as a business, they just look at us as little dollar signs. So when these little dollar signs get to play for us, make us some bigger dollar signs, right? Wow, we can make them work all year. So it's true. That's how it is.
Making us work all year, and they're not even our boss. Like we're not even employed by them. We're still working.
It's exactly how it works. So you just end up. Right now I just play. So I mean, I've been calling it for a while. I think injuries are coming in mass. It's absolutely coming. I never got hurt in my career, and then now I've had this elbow thing for a year, and I was like, I can't stop playing. I even took 3 months off, and it's a tendonitis, like severe tendonitis injury, and there's nothing I can do. You see elbow after elbow after elbow, and then I argue with somebody. I was like, how much do you actually think it's the balls? How much do you actually think it's overplaying? And practicing, because now it's if you're going to play 40 weeks a year, how can you also train your ass off and expect to get results out of that?
Yeah.
It's impossible. You have to take your breaks, but then no one's doing that. So then everyone's just kind of mixing it all together. And then at some point you're gonna bust, like you're done, and you're gonna get hurt.
I'm taking a nice little break here in December 2024. So hit me in 2025 December, and I'll let you know how the year goes.
Yeah, you got the sport science doing this and pronating all year. Like, yeah, that's great for my arm. That's so good. That's what it's supposed. That's what I was designed as a human being to do. This. Okay. Yeah, no chance. So of course you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, naturally too. The movement, it's so bad for our bodies. Like we're the only sport that plays on concrete. Rafa said that forever. People don't understand that. They're like, oh yeah, our hips, our knees, our ankle, our feet, like destroyed, absolutely destroyed.
Before we go into the next over-under, last thing on this topic was this part of the reason what led you into the calling it now? Is it like because of the health of your body, or what went into you calling it for your career and going into the next stage?
A little bit of, there's a couple parts. Yeah. I mean, my elbow, I dealt with it, and I didn't feel like I could train the way I needed to train to win and to get to the level that I feel like it's enjoyable for me. I played 16 years. So, I mean, I did everything I've ever wanted to do. I didn't feel like I was on the cusp of breaking any new milestones. So essentially it was just kind of holding on to what I got left. But I didn't feel like I could do that at all. The second part, I just thought that the competing and just the travel and everything was getting to me. I felt like, okay, every like 10 days, there was like 7 or 8 of them. I was just engaged, worked my ass off. But then there's like 2 of them. I just couldn't care less. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. And then those 2 days out of every 10 just kept adding up, because these young guys, they'll just be training all day, and there's absolute insane athletes, insane ball strikers, and
just brilliant every day.
Yeah, exactly. And I just felt that like I'm coming into, these 75 challengers, and, if I'm making like a quarters or semis, playing 3 like tough matches, and I'm making like $1,500 before expenses and like 9 points. And I'm like, well, what? Like, what am I doing? So that, to me, it would be different if I was like 25. Then I was like, I need to get my shit together. I need to change something, do whatever. At this point, like, sure, could I play till 35? I could, but how is the rest of my life going to be with like my hips and everything? And I was like, nah, it's not worth it anymore. For me, and I think I can move to the next chapter. I feel like I could be successful in a coaching aspect, and that's kind of what led me to it. And then I had a baby in the summer, so having kind of, do I want to do all this in the grind and be away for the kid? Is it worth it from that point of view? Like, not as much. Like in a coaching role, I have a little bit more of like, when I'm home, I don't have to worry about training 6 hours a day and then getting 2 hours. Like, I can be home all day, just be a dad. So that also went into consideration too.
Okay. Gotcha.
Speaking of aging, when you turned back like 10 minutes ago, I saw some hats on your bed there.
Yeah, I knew it.
You used to be a part of the long hair club, like my friend Jody here.
Oh my God, this man has way more hats than me.
So
no,
talk to me a little bit about
what my hair?
No, how many hats do you have, you said?
So this, what do I got here? I got 10 hats here. I've actually only worn like 2 of them. Okay. I think that I have probably 200 hats at home, easy.
Do you travel with like the hat thing that keeps your hat in like?
No, I put them like that in my backpack and I just place them. I'm OCD. I'm very organized. Everything's in order. Like, it doesn't crease. It's all good.
Look at this BB, this bald bonding right here. This guy's talking about hat racks on the road.
I knew I was going to be bald when I was 19. When I was 19, I knew I was going to lose it. So I said, nobody knows, but I know. And I said, I'm going to establish the hat look before I lose my hair. So when I lose my hair, no one's thinking.
That's a big brain play.
I know that they know that I know.
I thought about that at 19. So no one ever saw me. I established it when I went out. I don't wear collared shirts because it looks stupid with the hat. I was like, I just wear tees. I got kind of the Florida look, the cash. I'm going to be kind of that California guy. I got a couple tattoos. Like, it's fine. So it's just the cash guy. I don't go to anywhere fancy.
Bro, Justin, do you remember in Monterey 2 years ago? Was he there? The year that you and I went.
Monterey?
I don't
2 years ago, Monterey.
I don't think so.
Because I don't think so either.
But change sites every year. No, I did. I lost to. I played Nick Chappell there first round.
Okay.
Amy was
there.
Amy was there. I was there. That was the last year.
No, Amy was there last year. Yeah. Okay. I don't think it was that year actually. It might have been the year before. But bro, I was walking right. I didn't even get into the tournament. No. It was the year you played because I lost already. I'm walking with like Evan King and like maybe Kova, just like people who people know more than me. Like they know them more than they know me. No, I'm not anyone. And kids were coming up to me asking me to sign their autographs and not them. And I was like, I didn't have a hat on. So I was like, right now, I'm either Manarino or Kudla. I'm not me. That's
Exactly. No, But honestly, it was liberating. I wish I shaved my head earlier. I actually barely wear hats anymore. I freaking love it. So much
full head of hair overrated.
Hair is so overrated. Overrated.
You gotta embrace, you gotta love yourself, man.
I absolutely love it. I feel like confidence went through the roof. I got a good shaped head. Like I'm good with it, man. I freaking love it. I see all these people hanging on. I'm like,
too? You're lucky you have a beard.
oh,
It helps.
exactly. I knew I manifested what I needed at 1920. I was like, please God, give me a good shaped head and a beard. That's all I need. And let me be able to tell a couple jokes, and that's all. Just kidding.
That's funny.
And let me get married before I lose my hair, which I did.
Good.
I'm cooked.
Yeah, you're cooked. But actually, no, you look good. You look good. So you're fine.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro.
So I was one of those guys who would see the PTPA and be like, what the fuck do they do? Like, I don't know what they do. But recently, I just started working with the sports psychologist guy there. And actually, it's been nice to have that resource. It's free. And he seems like he knows what he's doing. So based on your experience with it, do you think the PTPA is over or underrated so far? And what they do? What they're trying to do?
I would say it's like 1% overrated. Like at a point where like it's like on that line between almost being underrated and almost being overrated. So if it's like a 51-49, I'd say 51 a little overrated. I say that because I think their intentions and everything that they stand for is very good. I think they're slowly executing, but I think why I say it's overrated is the fact that it's not entirely their fault, is the kind of the mass of players to educate them and really understand how anything works in detail and try to get everyone together and like really take a stand. I think they're struggling with that a little bit. And that's where I think the progress isn't really completely there. Sure, you have little perks that are nice. I've gone to the meetings. I've asked the questions. I like what they say. I think the heart's in the right place. The vision is there, but the execution, like you're up against a Goliath, right? So like I've questioned it. And I don't see how anything could get done until like everyone just went on strike or didn't play. But obviously we can't do that. There's a whole like law thing and or lawsuit and everything that potentially happens. So you just play, but then at the same time, like I said during COVID, I was like, what an opportunity when we come back if we wanted to strike. I was like, everybody just don't go and play. Like we all love being at home right now, most of us. But it didn't work that way. I mean, there's obviously some more details, and then I was like, whatever. I support it. Absolutely. But I think slightly overrated just because of maybe the patience of wanting something to get done. I feel like it could get done a little faster. For sure.
I guess it would be a little bit easier for them if they had hundreds of guys and girls, starting from the top, come down, that would just do what you said.
Yeah.
Like just
which they do. They
and
have the support, but there is no like action from the player. So it's like they want something like right now. They're like, what can you do for me? Like, I want more money in my pocket. It's like, yeah, but where do you think the money's going to come from? What do you think it's going to do? Like, there has to be things that change. So I don't blame it all on them. But it's just
like
just
you said the line was like 7 Goliaths. You have the ITF, ATP, WTA,
exactly.
and the 4 Slam.
Exactly.
Like, bro, where do
it's one Kraken. It's one large Kraken.
7 heads. Like,
what I don't like about the whole money argument is there's so many people that say like the money is dependent on how ticket sales go, and you go to the challengers and the futures and the ATPs, and like there's no one sitting in the stands and that sort of stuff. But like I'm kind of the belief, that that's also dependent on marketing and storylines and like that sort of stuff. So
how much money you can make on streaming, where all that's going in the future right now with VR and all that, like,
and the
betting, of course you can make money, but
stuff,
then the betting rights and everything, like the deals that are made there, like I joke with, I was pissing me off the last like few years when I started learning more and more about it. Like being a court middle of nowhere in a challenger, and then umpire would be like, cameras are on, watch your language. I'm like, what? You want me to like behave for these guys that are like threatening my family on camera? Like that's why you have a camera out here. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna behave like a gentleman. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I literally would tell umpires, and they were like, hey. I'm like, no, I'm gonna say whatever I want. I'm gonna say fuck you. So if I start losing, that's kind of, that was my mindset. Obviously I didn't really do it because once they gave me like a warning, I'd be like, I don't want that fine. But that was it.
Yeah. They add up quick, the fines.
They add up very quick, but I took some earlier in my career and I was like, nah, no more. So I avoided them. I had to peel them. I actually have a really funny picture. I was looking through like memories, and I have a big picture when I was third round Wimbledon for the first time playing, and I was so stressed playing Santiago Geraldo. We're in the fourth set. Both know what an opportunity to make a fourth round of a major. And I walk into the back corner, and we're both just like shitting the bed. And I go, I need a fucking beer. I need a fucking beer. And we're playing on like that cool court 18. And the crowd just starts laughing. I'm like, I'm just going to like, I need to like laugh. I need to like get some humor out. Like, let's just see what happens. And then I just see the little umpire just run. I'm like, what?
No.
What are you running? What are you running? And
Where
I
you
start
going?
walking. She goes and tells, and then run. I'm like, what did I say? And they go, code violation, audible obscenity, warning. And when you hear the code, then you know it's a fine. So I'm like, no. So I go. I didn't know this at the time. I walk up the chair. You're not allowed to touch the chair. Walk the chair. Anything. It's like huge. So I walk up the chair, and luckily I have a good relationship with like the umpires. I always say hello. I open the doors. I pay for the meals. You gotta get those. You gotta get those line calls. But I went up. I went up. I'm just kidding. I went up and I go, look. I said very calm. I'm like, look. I said, look. I don't want to get fined. I know I'm going to get fined. There's no way. I said I need an effing beer. I said it as a joke. There's no way that you're going to take like $5,000 from me for saying that. There's no chance. You know how many beers I can get with that? There's no chance. And I said it as humor. And he was like, yeah, I know. I get it. He's like, it's not guaranteed you're going to get fined. I'm like, how do I know that? You can't tell me that till after the match. I need to know right now that I'm not going to get fined. Mm-hmm. So I talked to him and he was like, no, you're fine. So then I went down. Everything was fine. So I have a picture of me like up on it, leg up, and like going like this, like questioning him. I think it's actually I might send frame that picture. It's a sick picture. I'll send it. And I ended up not getting fined. I ended up having to like talk to him. They're like, if you don't do anything for a year in the slams only, you're good. And then I was totally fine. But that was a good one.
Well, how big is it for your whole...
a bear?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. How big is it for your year when you make third, fourth round of a slam? Like, how different is life that year?
It's huge. I mean, when I first did it, it was 2015, and just the confidence was through the roof. Like, I had my issue a little bit earlier in my career. I mean, I did it a few times where I would go on a big run and I got satisfied. I worked just so hard. And I think the problem in our sport, which I learned later, you don't really get time to enjoy like something big. You know, you win a tournament, like you're a loser potentially 48 hours later. You know, you're so tired. And I think that for me, like I needed like a good job. I'm proud of you. I needed give me a week. Like, let me just go enjoy it. And I just didn't get that. Yeah, no, I just didn't get that as much. So then I'd get satisfied. Like, I had my highest ranking in 2015, and I followed it the next year with like 13 losses in a row. So it was terrible. You know, I was 15th in the world, and I could not win a match to save my life. And I think, I just think the life it's pretty awesome, but now it doesn't change that. The pressure comes along with it. So if you're the right type of player, like, it's just like another stepping stone, and that's how kind of how we're wired now. You know, you don't want your highs to be too high and your lows to be too low, which is, unfortunately, it's still true till this day. Because if you get too satisfied, you're going to drop so fast because there are guys coming for you. So like, I had to learn the hard way. Like, the better I played, the better results I had, the better guys played against me. And I couldn't accept it. Like, I'm like, this guy's playing out of his ass. Like, you got to be kidding me. It's only me, poor me, all this stuff. But like, that's natural. Like, you're going to play good. These guys have nothing to lose. They're going to full swing. It's a good win on their record at the time. And I'm just like, okay. And I didn't know how to handle it. And I didn't process that, like, that's what I was doing when I was getting big upsets and everything. And it's just, I learned kind of the mentality of, you're either the hunter or you're hunted. And that's always the case. So then I think, was it my highest ranking? I got to 56 instead of 53, but 2018 was the best year I thought of my career. And that was literally like the motto. I was like, you go out there, I was like, are you hunting or are you getting hunted? And if you're getting hunted, you're most likely going to lose. But if you're hunting and like what that really, really meant, you're like, oh, I'm hunting. Like, what are you doing to actually do it? Like, are you really playing on your terms? Like, really understanding that, really understanding every decision mentally? Are you really, believing that you're going to win? Like, how are you dealing with the anxiety and the pressure? And that was something where I learned the most about myself in my whole career.
I think it's pretty obvious to everybody here that the Challenger Tour level is underrated by, let's say, the masses.
So underrated.
You've been close 50 in the world, won 11 Challenger titles in singles. Like, how would you say the difference is between Challenger and ATP player? Like, and what are those differences? Like,
so I think there's like kind of brackets on tour. There's like the top. So most of my career with the Big Four, it was the Big Four, potentially like top 5 guys. Then it would be like 5 to like 15 to 20 would be another bracket. 20 and below was all the same. It was like 20 to like 130, like 140, all the same. It was all how they played, how clutch they were, what was going on in their head, how they scheduled. Did they get good draws? Did they maximize on their opportunities? How they managed losing streaks, stuff like that. And then after that, like 130 to like 250 was like okay. And then at that time, like 250 and lower, I felt like I could show up not hitting for a week and no problem. Okay. Now, I feel like there's like Carlos Alcaraz, there's maybe like the top 5, 6 again. And then it's like everyone's the same after that. Everyone's the same. And it drops down. It goes to like 500, like 600. It's insane. It's ridiculous.
Everybody's good. Yeah.
Everyone's good. It's a joke. Everyone hits the ball well. Like some guys are different. Like you could say based on game styles and the way they are mentally, there's a reason. Like the rankings are the most accurate thing in our sport. There's a reason you're at that number. And how do you expose someone like that? So yeah, some people are like, nah, I don't agree with that. Some guys, they suck at like 400. I'm like, I don't know, man. I look at a perfect example. Like I was playing good. I played Savannah Challenger last year. I played, is his name Tristan McCormick? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Name, yeah.
Like 800. Guy was playing a joke. I'm like, this guy's 800. The guy is so clutch right now.
To be fair, Tristan is better than 800. I think he was hurt for a while. So maybe that.
I mean, he is, but he was 800. He was 800 on the day.
That's true.
So I was like, okay, I agree. I was like, how's this guy now like 40 in the world? It was ridiculous. I was like, I've played a lot of guys 40, 50 in the world.
I'm like, 40 in the world, man. He's 40 in the world.
And the countless amount of times that's happened, probably since after COVID, I'm just like, dude, the level is just insane. I mean, I literally said the same thing to Tristan Boyer. He beat my ass in Columbus. And I go, look, I was like, I've felt a big ball. And I was like, you just played like a top 50 easily. Like that's how they play. Now, if you could sustain that, that's up to you. But like that right there, I was like, I walked off impressed because I got my ass beat so bad in a place that I played really well. So like these guys have the potential, but then it's like putting it together, that's also something that appealed to me to like be a coach where I was like, there are just so many good players out there, but there's just not enough guidance. Mm-hmm. There's not enough like decision-making that's correct. The way they kind of operate their day-to-day lifestyle, like how, like what's going on in their personal lives, like what are they doing? Like how certain dialogues can actually creep into your head, and that kind of stuff. And it's like, I wish I could help everybody, but there's so much room for so many guys to make it. Like I never thought I was the most talented guy. I got to where I got to because I thought mentally I understood a lot of things and I was willing to suffer. That doesn't go as far as today. You need a couple more weapons, but there are so many guys that were underdogs that are not that good that made top 100, and the amount of guys that are unbelievably talented that never made it is incredible. So that's why I'm like, a lot of guys could be top 100. You just have to understand all those variables and be able to put it together. And then at the end of the day, you got to be clutch.
Put in your coach hat on now. If you're building a top 50 player, or let's say, as you say now, top 7 to top 130
building player. Or billing?
Building.
Okay.
Constructing.
Not talking money right here.
I'm just kidding.
I don't want to contract with Reilly.
He's doing both.
I'm just kidding.
Nah. So if they were building this player right now, and because I know watching you play, you had a sick backhand. The forehand was a little bit less, let's say, of a weapon. Yeah. A little bit of the side spin thing going on there.
I was in the wrong generation.
Yeah. So having a big forehand to be in that group, underrated. Like, would you trade your backhand for a big forehand and a mediocre backhand?
No, overrated.
Okay.
So overrated. I think now it's all about like just being a complete player more and more. You need a weapon, but whatever that weapon is, you got to be able to know how to use it. If you have a big forehand and a shitty backhand now, guys are going to find it. I felt like 15 years ago, there was a lot more like just standard big forehands, bad backhands. Now the amount of guys that have unbelievable backhands is way more. So I think just a complete player is huge. Now it's a little bit of mindless tennis in a way. It's just ball bashing, but I think that's just the cycle of how tennis is. That's just my theory, but you have to deal with it. And these guys now are just
that cycle.
I don't know. I think it's just the way that it's just being taught. I think it's people looking at stats. Like right now,
coach, you're asking them how to break cycles.
Yeah, I feel like for me,
he just beat Djokovic, bro, in his third match of the year, bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but for me, when I'm looking at it, when I'm looking at it, I'm just like, that's just what caught on, right? Like a lot of us will do what the most winning guy is doing, you know, like the guy.
Like everybody, all of a sudden, was returning from the fence.
I mean, look at like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. You know, a couple guys win a couple tournaments with a Yonex, and now every other player uses Yonex. You know, like it's stuff like that. Like you see a couple guys slap some balls and start winning. You're like, wow, maybe I should start doing it. And it starts catching on. Yeah. And I think that's just the method right now. And I think right now it's the dialogue in locker rooms, and it's just what everyone's convinced you need to be doing. And it does work for a lot of guys, and but now it's like you have to remember the shot tolerance is important with that too. So what is your threshold for both of those? But again, my big point is it's not the only way you can win still. So the way to figure out how to win is definitely unique to every single player, but it is a lot tougher right now when you have so many guys that are just unbelievable ball strikers and just crushing the ball. So like you show up in these challengers and you know, a guy can just play lights out on a fast surface or in a place that you just don't feel comfortable in. And it just creates even more pressure. And you're just like, what just happened?
Yeah. And I feel like we could talk for 3 hours today, but I have one more for you before we get into the Instagram questions for the listeners. So we used to work with Taylor Dent, and he told me that when he got, well, first of all, he said, don't get a girlfriend unless she's like the one, because it's gonna mess with your head and it's gonna be rough. If she's gonna get in the way of your training and traveling and stuff, it's not worth it. And then he told me that when he had a child, he couldn't do both. He couldn't be dad Taylor, and also competitor at the same time, and be away from home all the time and whatever. So how did you manage having a girlfriend and like having a relationship and playing tennis at the same time? Because it's difficult.
I think it was.
For love, Justin, or what? You want some advice in love? Is that what's going on?
Okay.
No. I just turned 28, and I think like at some point it's gonna have to happen. You know what I mean? So
So I think, for me, I mean, I was lucky enough that I married my only girlfriend, so I was win for that, so it worked out perfect for me. But I do agree with that.
That's a big W.
You can have a girlfriend, you can do all that stuff, blah blah blah. You got to know yourself.
And some guys I've heard they play better when they're being a dog on the tour. They need that little.
It's true for some guys. That definitely wouldn't work for me. But there are some guys. If the girlfriend is definitely stopping you from doing what you need to do, then that's definitely an issue. So you do need to prioritize what you got to do. But I also am a believer that like, don't just be a robot and just tennis all day. Yeah. I do think you have a balance of life. It doesn't work for everybody. Some people are designed to be robots and they're unreal. I think it's kind of the gift of a lot of like top guys.
Who's a robot?
Every guy in the top 10.
Okay.
So absolute robots. Maybe not every guy. Fritz is actually not that big a robot, but most guys are robots. So it's just that's all they do.
You don't have to like backtrack now. I don't think he watches this podcast. He's not going to see you call him a robot. You're good. You're fine.
He might now. Gonna clip this part.
I mean, You'd be really surprised how obsessed with tennis he is. You did not expect that. When you talk to him the first time, you would never think that this guy just played tennis and practice every single day. Literally, like every single day. There's no days off.
So he's very close to being a robot, but not a robot.
Yeah. No, he's a robot. There's a reason he's number 4. Confident robot.
Okay.
And then I think with the kid, I agree with that. I think I've also mentioned like myself and just people around me where like you have to be a killer out there. There's nothing you can argue. And now with the kid, like the soft spot definitely is a lot bigger. So some people are like, oh, when some guys have kids, they go on tears, which is true, which is fine. But
they're robots.
Yeah, I'm not like that. Just like where you dig.
There's no love there.
Or some people are like, you dig so deep to like win for your kid. But I'm more like, why am I taking this risk? I have a kid.
My shoulders with the pump.
Like I got nothing.
I can't lift anymore.
My kid's gonna need to eat.
Bro, I'm scared. I'm scared of that. Like I'm scared of like. So I have tendonitis, right?
Don't be scared. You should have a baby. It's
no, not that. I'm scared of like. I don't want to be the dad that can't play catch. I can't throw the ball because my elbow hurts so bad. You know, like I don't want to be the dad that can't kick a ball because my hip. You know what I mean?
You'll be fine. You'll be surprised. I took a lot of time off. I was obviously weird, like going into December and like barely working out and like practicing. And your body does slowly start to heal. I mean, it's still there, but you'll be fine. You'll be shocked. Like you need to reset. No, it doesn't go away. It just gets less.
Okay.
Bro. Hardest thing for me with like having a girl or whatever on the road or whatever, communication, like the constant FaceTiming. Are you good with that? You like FaceTiming and stuff, or you guys do it like?
I'm pretty good. Sometimes I'll just, I'm a believer. Like if you can sometimes I'll just FaceTime my wife and we just won't say anything.
Okay.
Just be there. Just stare.
Just chill.
Just feel like I can just look at them live. That's all. Okay. So we're lucky in that way.
Just connect.
Yeah, but I like the FaceTime.
You know that I know that.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're doing. I know you're doing. She's gonna watch this. She's gonna
watch. They know each other so well they don't have to talk anymore. They just.
Yeah. It's just all telepathic. No, she's gonna watch. I love you, Tyler. But yeah, but right now, so much of the FaceTime is seeing the baby and just seeing what he does, and just she's up at all different hours of the night, and it kind of works with the jet lag. So we'll talk here and there, but we're not so much like we have a hour long like FaceTime session. We're more like we'll FaceTime 8 times in the day, and it'll be for like 3 minutes.
Just checking in on whatever. Okay.
Checking in. Hey, what are you doing? I got 20 minutes free. What's up? All right. I got to go do something. It's not like, oh, why do you have to leave? Like, you don't want to talk to me? Like, no, I got something to do.
That's what I used to get a little bit.
Yeah. And I'd be like, do you think my job is just to sit here all day and just wait on my phone? No, it's not my job. So we're good with that. We're really good with that. So she has great understanding. Like for me, I knew I always wanted to be somebody outside of the sport. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she actually understands and gets it all is incredibly rare. There's a lot of people that don't understand our world, understand our life, understand that like I need a minute. Yeah. I might need 24 hours, just like a silence. I need to reset. Yeah. And they were like, "What's wrong? You don't like me anymore?" No, like you don't understand. Like, I am full throttle at all times. Like I need to chill. Yeah. Like just darkness.
Man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, let's get into some Instagram questions. So let's see. The first one. Let's go with Ethan Quinn. First question from Ethan Quinn. Is diet important?
Is what? Diet important?
Before you go on that, brother, I'm pulling up this morning to the terminal in the Bahamas at home in Nassau. There's like a US side and there's the other side, domestic, international, whatever. Coming to the domestic side, or international side, there's a drive-through Wendy's, my brother, at the airport.
Nice.
People pass through the airport to get Wendy's and just
spicy chicken sandwich. That spicy chicken sandwich is number one. It's the OG.
You just drop your family off and you make a little you right to Wendy's, go to work. Crazy.
But from this, you know about the spicy chicken sandwich. It sounds like diet is not very important in your eyes.
Yeah. Diet is important. Diet is important. I think it's a little bit overblown.
Overrated.
It's overrated for sure.
Tell
I
me
tried
more.
I tried every diet in the book. I
Okay.
hate being vegan. It was the worst. Freaking
That
hated
sounds
it.
trash. Yeah.
I was at my thinnest, but yeah, it's terrible. It's all fake food anyway. Shout out Hunter Reese, but no, just kidding.
But it was the worst. Why? Energy wise?
Yeah, but just my mood swings. Like it was terrible. I don't know. Like I just feel like when you're a vegan, you're just like delusional. Unless you're really doing it just for the animals. But like I wasn't doing it for the animals. I was just doing it to see if I could get like an edge.
Okay.
And I was like, but then I was just like I was like the worst version of myself. I would be like, oh, that's going to give you cancer. That's going to give you cancer. That's terrible. Because the things I was reading to convince myself, everyone's like, nobody wants to eat with me. I was losing all my friends left and right. I was like, this needs to stop. This needs to stop.
Okay. So the two things to lose friends is to be annoying on the court and be vegan. And lose friends.
Yeah, exactly. Not too many vegans are very social. So for me right now, I mean, what?
You went carnivore too?
I was going to say, I like the carnivore diet as a coach, more as a coach right now, just because I'm trying not to be like, I don't want to be a fat coach. So I'm like still training and like, I'm enjoying hitting and I'm trying to get a schedule going, like barely eating carbs right now, only when I need to, or like try to do it earlier in the day.
Do you drink?
Yes, I do.
So the bears will catch up, bro. Man, skipping rice and drinking beer.
But I'm not too much of a beer person. I like bourbon. I like bourbon and tequila and stuff, and then I'll drink like wine. I like the taste of beer. I can't have more than 3 beers. I was gonna say,
I think if you're skipping rice and eating beer, I don't know if it's gonna work. You know?
You're
still gonna get a little something.
No, you can still get something, but I still like I'm getting after it and working out pretty hard. I'm all about now as a coach visual intimidation, so I want to make sure someone sees me and just like, whoa,
this guy's serious.
This guy's serious. Oh my
he's
God.
Still locked in.
Yeah, he's still locked in. And yeah, so I think diet is tough, and you need to be balanced. Like in the hot conditions, I think it matters big time. I think over time, like if you're eating like shit but you're still like skinny, and it's kind of like make believe you just have good genetics, like you're not going to last. So there is the understanding of food, of like understanding like the fats and the carbs when you do proteins. Like I learned a lot more, and people are like eating chicken before a match. I'm like, you really think like you're going to use any of that protein in that match? Like no chance. Like I think the best pre-match meal I ever had in my career was rice, salt, and olive oil. It was my favorite meal. It was unreal. But eat it slow, not big bites. Eat it slow. And do it, and then just like nibble for like an hour before the match, or like an hour and a half before the match, and then like about 25 minutes out, stop, but just like keep nibbling it. That was my favorite pre-match meal, and I never got tired. Like I never like cramped in my career or did any of that. I was always physically pretty proud of how I was and crushed food, but I understood what I needed. Like I would flirt with like putting some lbs on, no problem. I had that body type. Like I couldn't be ripped. I got ripped twice, and I was so good for an hour and a half, and then I died. I crashed. When I was like super strong, but I like had no abs showing, I could play forever. But as long as I can move still and I was explosive, like that all that mattered to me. So visually, I had to accept that like I'm never gonna look like Feliciano Lopez or something. So I was like, fuck.
Okay. The next question, I can't tell if it's a diet question or not. It's from Robert Lindstedt, and it says, ask him if all waters are the same.
Water is not all the same. So going before I started working with Robert Lindstedt,
he's preaching
in 2021, he got me on the spring water diet. Okay. So the difference between spring water and purified water, and essentially purified water is all trash because you can't absorb the minerals in purified water. But in spring water,
artesian well water?
No, all crap. It needs to be It needs to be mountain. It doesn't have to be mountain. It just needs to be spring water.
Okay.
So all that alkaline water, all that crap, that's
garbage.
Your body can't absorb it.
Okay.
So I was like, "You're an idiot." Like there's no way this is real. Like, what are you talking about? I drink out of like a sink at times. Like I've been fine. So I started doing it, and then as I did it for a while. We look like idiots too. Like there's all this free water on courts, and I'm walking in with my own case of water. Like this is so dumb. It was so embarrassing. And but then as I did this, and then I went back to like purified water, like I could feel a difference in my hydration and like how my stomach worked. It was actually crazy. I was like, no way, he was right. So there is something to it. I don't like live to a T on it, but I do pay attention. If there is like two options right there, I will always go for the spring water.
So
all
like
day.
if I'm in my apartment, I just go to the fridge, trash water, not good.
Yeah. It's all like trash water, especially in Florida. Like Florida has some of the worst water in America.
So you go Zephyr Hills in Florida or what?
I drink it all the time. Too. But yeah, the Zephyr Hills is all day.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you have the plastic. You have the plastic people out there like, you getting plastic bottles. Like,
The BPAs.
I don't have a spring in my backyard.
Okay. Next question. Let's go to Kian. Asks, why exactly did you have so much success on grass, and do you think the grass swing should be longer?
Grass should be so much longer for me personally. My success on grass was my belief of what makes a good grass quarter is not the serve, because it is a equalizer. Everyone's got a good serve on grass if you know how to serve on grass, which is pretty simple. Just understand the wide serves, the shape of the ball, and as long as you don't have a toss that completely gives it away. But it was, for me, well, one, you couldn't get the ball up on me, so I always knew where everything was. But it was, one, returns. Whoever has the best return usually wins the match. That's why Novak is the greatest on it. And two, I trusted my movement. You see all these guys go out into the corners and take these extra steps. I was able to take like 1, 2 and trust and pull out. Like I never worried that like I was going to slip or like, or like destroy my adductor, or do anything like that. So I was totally fine. Now I'm distracted, but
I didn't even hear what he said. Fuck.
This guy's a clown. This guy's a clown. But yeah, so that's why I thought I was a very good grass quarter, movement and returns, and then again confidence built over time. And I just knew like how to play behind somebody, how to play middle. It worked on my backhand where like it never came off the ground, and I'd get high short balls. I knew I wasn't afraid to attack on grass.
How different playing Novak US Open versus Wimbledon?
Wimbledon, I felt like I had a chance.
Really? Okay.
More of a chance than I did on hardcore. I did actually, going into playing him on Ash, I was playing so bad. I could not believe I made third round. I was like, literally was so bad going into there. I could not make a forehand to save my life. But that was just showing like how much like I was in my own head. Novak is just insane. His precision, 4-1 in the first set. I've watched the YouTube clips. We play this like epic point.
Yeah,
and I win it on a volley, and like the crowd goes nuts. It was an insane moment in my career. I didn't show like any emotion because I was so dead.
Face. Yeah.
I thought I was going to throw up. I had so much anxiety. Before the match, and I was so gassed. I was like, I'm going to stay with him as long as I can and make it an opportunity.
But that point is crazy. You hit a backhand line, 100 miles an hour. He gets there.
And he's there.
Forehand,
no, it was a joke.
He gets there. Another one. He gets there.
And I'm like, God, the crowd has no idea. I'm already like twitching in my quad with like cramps. I'm so tight. My heart rate is at like 190. I'm like, I am so done. Like so done. I'm already getting like a little lightheaded. It was ridiculous. But he killed me there. Wimbledon, the first time, I shit the bed because I was like, my dream came true. Center court at Wimbledon. I actually thought my nightmare almost came true, because I was down 5-0 in like 12 minutes or 13 minutes. And I was like, I might lose 0-0. I don't know how I'm going to win a game. Like, I can't see the lines, because on grass, when the sun gets low, you can't see the lines on the other side. It's nuts. And I couldn't crack an egg. I was like, what am I going to do? I could make a first serve, but then I just had fun with it. And then the third time I played him, I had set points in the third. Like, I just believed. I took it to him. I blinked once every set, and he got the break, and I couldn't do it much. Third set, I probably should have won. I think I got like, I wanted to see if it was as easy to steal the crowd away from him as you would see on TV. And it was so easy. I got lost, and I was like, I'm going to see what happens. I just lifted my hands up. I lifted my hands up, did this like one time, then the whole stadium was on me. He was going nuts, and I was just having all the fun. I was like talking, interacting, doing it, and just playing lights out. But then even when people were like, come on, you got this, when I'm in the corner, and I was realizing like, even if I win this third set, I'm losing the 4-6-0 because I'm already cramping. Like I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But he's just he's an absolute specimen. Yeah. I can't beat him. I don't have enough firepower.
What's your most memorable win? This is from Liam, by the way.
I mean, it's not like the name, but like obviously winning that third round at Wimbledon for the first time against Geraldo was pretty special, winning in 5 sets. Then I would say Murray in Grass Challenger. That was pretty cool. Like walk off like, holy shit, I just beat Andy Murray on grass, even if it wasn't like the same Andy Murray, but still pretty insane. Beating Monfils in Stuttgart on grass.
You're a big grass court guy, huh?
Huge grass court. A lot of memories there.
Get the grass court season longer. Get it longer. What are they doing?
Yeah, and then those are probably the biggest wins for sure.
Okay.
Those are like the most memorable ones.
All right, last question. Sorry, we can't get to everyone's question. It's already going so long. But last question is from AJ. He asked, why does every player from College Park only have a backhand?
Because the courts are so fast, and that's all we got. And those coaches, I guess, have no idea how to teach a serve and a forehand. Just kidding.
Just kidding. Bro, it is so true. It is so true. It is true.
It is true. It's different now, but we all just had pride. We were all very aware of it during the time. We're like, why do we only have good backhands? Yeah, we always joked about it. We were like the backhand academy. Okay. Like, you want a good backhand, you come to College Park. We knew it.
That's pretty funny.
And we knew how to. We stayed in shape and we had a good backhand. So that was it.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. So this segment of the podcast is brought to you by QUIZLET. Not yet, but hopefully one day we're gonna play some trivia. First, the 3
Have you seen this part? Have you seen this part of the podcast before? Have you seen this game?
Yeah. I thought he was going to say Quiznos. I was like, wow, you guys got a Quiznos sponsorship?
No, we do not. If Quiznos is watching and wants to throw us something, let me know.
Yeah, let's get it.
So we're going to go first to 3 correct answers. I ask the question, you shout your answer out. If you get it wrong, it's Jody's chance to answer. Both get it wrong twice, move to the next question.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
All right.
Question number 1. Who am I? Bald-headed legend of the game. One-handed backhand. Played with head extreme.
Oh my God, I know his name.
Ivan Lubicic.
He won the Miami Masters 1000 with Andy Roddick.
What you said extreme, I was like...
No, I knew it from before. I knew it from the second clue. I was like, I just couldn't remember his name.
That's your fault.
You're right. Yes. You're right. 1-0.
1-0 Kudla. Question number 2.
I was actually slow on the ball. I couldn't think of a bald legend. I was like,
come on, dog. Bald legend.
Don't start the year like this.
True or false?
50-50.
Novak Djokovic has never won an ATP doubles title.
False.
Kudla said false first. I'm sorry.
No, he did not.
Yes, I did. I did. Absolutely, I was first.
The answer is false. He's won 1.
Yeah.
Queens 2010.
Oh, wow. I was going to say Serbia, but yeah, Queens 2010. Wow.
2-0. Wow. Do I want to go mathematics to start the year?
Let's keep it going. I'm going for the full sweep.
Let's go. 27 minus 16.
Oh, 11.
That's all, folks. Mr.
Hello?
Kudla.
What's the question?
You bring it up.
Math? What?
You bring it up.
New Year, same bullshit. New Year, same bullshit.
New Year, same me, baby. Let's go.
Bro, before we roll, Kudla, I just want to say, like, I don't know if how many people have told you already, but before I met you, you look like a pretty serious guy, like unapproachable kind of guy, serious, like. But now after spending this podcast with you, it seems like you genuinely care about the game and you care about your colleagues and that sort of stuff. So I just want to say congratulations on your career and all the best in the next chapter for you, bro.
I appreciate it.
And for me, when I had a wrist surgery, I think back in 2017, you were still at Saddlebrook and I was at USF and I was doing like a little training block there, and you would be on the Versa Climber killing it and working really hard and stuff. So you were one person I looked up to a little bit when I was there as an example. So thanks for doing this, and
No, I appreciate
all the
it.
best
I
in the
appreciate
next
it.
step in the career and life.
All right,
For
thank
sure.
you. I mean, what you guys are doing are awesome, and obviously I support you guys, and glad I can be on here and share some fun stories, and hopefully the next chapter is pretty special, and definitely can be intimidating, but yeah, you can always come on.
The carnivore diet, baby. Let's go.
All right, thanks again for doing this, bro.
All right, you got it. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
One love.
Peace.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.